Hoping this won't take too long. 45 minutes is kind of what I hope to keep it down to. And in those 45 minutes, I'm basically just going to be going over just a whole number of pretty common questions I get asked and about Countrywide Signs. I'm director of an independent franchise consultancy based in the UK, and I've spent the last 10 years working in the UK franchise sector, working with brands like Countrywide Signs and also working with people who are looking at franchising. And my role with Countrywide Signs is to really help people understand what they're all about, what the opportunity offers, and for them to understand the process that they need to go through to really make some informed decisions at the end of the day. So I'm not here to sell you a franchise. It's not a sales webinar. I'm not going to be extolling all the virtues and benefits. No, it's not how Countrywide Signs work. They really are looking for the right type of people to, I suppose the best way of putting it is to, is setting up strategic partners to grow the brand and therefore their customer base. That's what franchising should be. It's not what it always is. So you hear a lot of different definitions, but that's the definition I adhere to, is really finding strategic partners who are going to fit and work well together, and it's going to suit all parties. And the way that we help people understand more about Countrywide Signs and the process that we use, if any of you have been looking at Countrywide Signs for a while, you probably would have had a number of emails from me just trying to lay out in a pretty logical way what the opportunity entails and so on. I just want to quickly cover off what Countrywide Signs do. Anyone looking at it will understand this, so I don't want to spend too long on this. But Countrywide Signs, their principal and core offer is a board management service to estate and lending agents. And this service entails really the supply, erection, and management of for sale and to let boards around the UK. Summary of the whole of what they do is that they in a nutshell fulfill the constant advertising and marketing needs of the property sector. It's a fancy way of saying that they get on with managing the sales boards on behalf of the estate agents. They have 57 franchise owners in the UK now, and 95% of these are doing well, of these people. So it's a very successful business. It's been going for over 10 years as a franchise opportunity, and although we've been in a recession the last 18 months, it's something I'm going to cover in a bit. Is just how they've done and how they've got through the recession and how they continue to thrive. And part of understanding this is why is there a need for Countrywide Signs at all? I think most people think that estate agents and letting agents put up their own signs. That's the most common perception people have when they first start looking at this business, and it's a misconception and quite a large one. And when you start looking into this, you understand why. But every single property in the UK market, whether it's a residential property or commercial property, benefits from having a signboard next to it. It's a way of advertising and marketing. It's a way of selling of promoting the property. And because of that, every single agent, estate and letting agent, benefits from having their signboard at a property they're managing, because of course it's got their branding, it's got their image, and it's very high profile. It's in residential areas. People see these, they're very in your face. So agents really like having signboards to promote themselves, but also to promote the properties that they're trying to rent or to sell. And it's very key to understand that for sale and to let boards are the agent's most cost-effective advertising and marketing tool. And they actually account, and this is quite an amazing statistic, they actually account for more than 40% directly of all property sales in the UK. So I know there's the internet there, and a lot of people are using that, and a lot of people look at properties in the paper or in a magazine. But 40% of all property sales come originally from someone seeing a board and either phoning the number following that or going to a website but it was the board that led the whole investigation. So boards are extremely important to the estate and letting agents, and they need someone who is going to manage those boards in the right way. And I'll be getting into that a little bit more. But really, what they seek is a consistent, dependable, and dedicated service. This is something that Countrywide Signs offer. I was mentioning the recession. I think everyone asks, probably every single franchise opportunity they might be considering in every single business, they're asking, how have you done during the recession? Last 18 months, the recession still going on. People are talking about a double dip recession. So, there's still fears out there. And this is prompting people to be a lot more careful in the opportunities they consider, because there is more risk because of that. And one of the main things to understand with a Countrywide Signs business is that they don't rely on house sales or rentals actually happening to make money. They are paid, or Countrywide Signs are paid by the work that they do. So if they put up a sign, they paid for that. If they take down a sign, they paid for that. And so when they're less for sale signs, which there certainly has been in the last 18 months, 2 years, property sales have dropped hugely. But on the other hand, there's been a huge increase in the rental market, and therefore to let signs. So just the same thing, a to let sign, Countrywide Signs deal with those. They charge the same amount. It's the same thing, and this really has helped to balance out the problems that, or the business that they may have lost through property sales being a bit slower. And during a recession, people continue to buy or sell or rent depending on their situation. There's people buying when house prices are at their lowest because they've got money and they see it as an investment. And if they sit on it, it's obviously going to appreciate. There's people that are obviously looking to rent because they don't want to buy because it's a bad time. And then, of course, there's people that are forced to sell due to mortgage. They can't keep up with mortgage payments and so on. So there's a lot of reasons that the market continues to turn over, and it's signs that drive all of this. And that's where Countrywide Signs come in. Even when estate agent businesses may fail, and there's been a lot over the last 2 years, there's maybe been about 2,000 estate agents have actually gone out of business. They couldn't survive. They weren't selling enough houses. They weren't getting the commissions. But the properties that they were dealing with still need signs, and those properties are still trying to be sold or rented or let or whatever it might be. And what happens is that the business simply passes on to those estate and lending agents that are still surviving in the environment. And if Countrywide Signs have them as customers, they will automatically then pick up that work. So an estate agent failing doesn't necessarily have a huge impact on Countrywide Signs. It may mean that they have one less customer, but it may also mean that customers they already have actually start giving them more work. So these are some of the reasons why Countrywide Signs have done so well, and they are not recession proof. I think that's a term that you cannot use, but recession resistant certainly, and they are, and a lot of franchisors claim to be recession resistant. Whether they truly are or not, I think everyone wants to use that. Countrywide Signs have actually proven it over the last 2 years, and they've got the figures to back it up, and they've got the franchise owners who can talk to you and will tell you themselves how they've done and how they've continued to grow their businesses. So from that point of view, it's very, very positive. Moving on to how much competition actually is there, I think that's very important to understand. Anyone can put up a sign, so it's certainly, this is not the unique part of the Countrywide Signs business, because anyone can put up a sign, and it's not something new. It's something that estate agents have always done and always wanted to do and will continue to do. However much the internet develops, signboards are going to remain. That's not going to be phased out. So if we just go through these points, every sign, as I'm saying, in the UK, every sign at the moment is put up by someone. So in any area in the UK, whether Countrywide Signs are operating there or not, someone is putting up a sign. And in some cases, it is the estate and letting agent. In not that many cases, very small percentage will they do it themselves. And estate and letting agents typically as I said before, will always look to outsource the sign management. Reason for that is quite simple and logical when you think about it. Estate letting agents are there to sell or let houses. The people that they employ to do that are guys that must dress smart, dress in suits. They must drive nice cars. I mean, these are all the elements that make up the estate agency business, certainly, and the letting agency to a smaller extent. uh, these are not guys that are geared to go in and putting up signboards, and they certainly don't have the vehicles to be putting the boards in the back either. So doing it themselves for larger agents and is really not an option. They will always look to outsource. Who to outsource to? Well, if there's not a national board erecting company in the area, they are forced to outsource to small independent contractors, and these could be plumbers or electricians, handymen in the area, typically sole traders that have vans that are able to offer this type of service with no problem at all. They know the residential areas, they've got the van, they've got the storage space, and they can put up a sign. You know, that's not rocket science. So there's no problem there in outsourcing. The problem comes with when I go back to a dedicated service, consistent and reliable service. It doesn't tend to happen, and it certainly is not maintained with small independent contractors for a few simple reasons. One, it's not their core service or their core business. If they're a plumber, that's where they're going to make most of their money. This is just additional income. Two, they are quite hard to contact or keep in contact with. They have mobile numbers. That's about it. They don't normally operate faxes or emails or set any systems up with the estate or letting agents. So it's normally and typically done over a mobile phone, and that can be a little bit annoying for estate agents. Estate agents don't know, or letting agents don't know, whether the sign's been put up or taken down or whether it's been changed. So there's a lot of chasing around. The whole invoicing side is a bit of a mixed bag. So it's not ideal. And so when Countrywide Signs come into an area, they often are solving quite a lot of problems at the same time for estate agents. For one, they offer dedicated service. So that in itself is their speciality. It's their core. It's their niche. That's what they do, and that's where they make their money. Secondly, they've got very well-established online systems, which over the last 10 years, they've probably spent, I would say, up towards $250,000 in development costs to have those systems put in place and developed continually. These are excellent systems, and they basically allow the estate and letting agents to very simply manage the board management side of the business. When they become a customer for Countrywide Signs, they get a login and an access code. They can be online anywhere. It's not software you need to install. It's an online program, and if they want a sign put up in a residential area, they simply navigate, find the address, and then within 2 minutes they can be saying what they want done at that property. If we want a for sale sign put up within 48 hours, and they can submit that immediately. They do that. The job, and that's what we'll call it, is sent to the franchise owner in that area, and they'll pick it up immediately. So these jobs are coming in throughout the day, and the franchise owner will obviously in the evening be able to log on and see all the jobs that are coming and schedule his day accordingly the next day. Once the job is done, or once the sign's been put up, then the franchise owner simply, using the system, ticks it off as complete. It's not physically, but on the system will tick a box, and that will communicate back through the system to the estate and letting agent, and the job will show up as being completed. So it's all very, very traceable, and it's instant as well. And when a job is complete, it's put on a job sheet. At the end of the month, all the jobs are put onto an invoice, and the invoice is sent out to the estate agent or letting agent. So everything is very, very precise, and everyone knows what's going on at all times, and there's no problems with communication. So it's very, very good from that sense. And that is, if we're going to talk about a unique selling point, this is the Countrywide Signs' unique selling point is the systems, and the fact that they offer a dedicated service. Just point 4 there, and just to make this point, because it's good for you all to know, there are 2 national board management franchise companies in the UK. One is Countrywide Signs, and the other is Agency Express. So if you've looked into this in any depth, you'll know about Agency Express, and it's really up to you to compare the two and see which one suits your purposes more. I mean, I think the first thing you need to decide is whether this sector and this kind of business opportunity suits you, and then from there, I'd encourage you to look at Agency Express and get the information from them, and understand the key differences between the two and which one might suit you better. So Agency Express, make a note of it, and look them up if you're interested. Right, moving on to a very common question that people, certainly coming from employment, are wanting to know is, how do I make money? We need customers to make money. How do we win the customers? How, estate agents have someone putting up their boards. Letting agents have someone putting up their boards. So when we go into an area, how do we win that business away from the people that are doing it? Which, as I've said before, is mostly small independent contractors. Well, we've talked about the systems. We've talked about the dedicated service. These are all marketing tools that Countrywide Signs use to encourage estate agents to consider them, or letting agents to look at them. So let's just go through some points here. Most franchise owners in the Countrywide Signs network are not from a marketing and sales background. They have no experience in marketing and sales. And obviously, if you're running any business or starting any business, whether it's a franchise or otherwise, you need to be good at marketing and sales, or you need to outsource that side of it to someone that is good. So with Countrywide Signs, they realized this very early on, and they've set up their whole systems and their whole structure around supporting the franchise owners in the first 12 months to 2 years from a marketing and sales side of things. So there's full marketing and sales support offered, and as I've talked about, excellent systems to back all of this up. Countrywide Signs only make money when you, the franchise owner, gain customers. So it's in their best interest to support you as much as they can on that, and they do a great job. They get involved in email marketing. They send all of that out. The marketing stuff that goes out in your area will go out with, in the beginning anyway, will go out with the national sales manager contact details on. His name's Simon Smith. So therefore, any inward inquiries are funneled through to him, and he'll actually handle the inquiries on your behalf. So effectively, what's happening is you are outsourcing this side of the business back to Countrywide Signs until you're comfortable to get involved. Once Simon Smith is dealing with an estate or letting agent who's made an inquiry, he has a track record of converting 3 out of 4 of those into customers for Countrywide Signs, wherever the inquiry comes from in the country. So, this is a great support structure that Countrywide Signs offer. Some people have asked me the number of estate agents, currently in the UK, and currently on the National Directory of Estate Agents, there's around about 17,000 estate agents. That's estate agents in the UK, and what this means, or what this translates to, is that there should be an average of between 180 to 200 agents or estate agents per franchise territory. To give you an idea of the size, I'll go into the territory in more detail in a bit. And just bearing in mind that the average Countrywide Signs one van business only needs 30 to 35 agents to run a full-time one van business, you get an idea that each territory that's on offer is really to allow you to build a 3, sometimes 4 van business, and sometimes more. So we'll go into that in a bit more detail as we go through this. The most common question asked, hands down, is how much can I make? I've changed it a little bit, and I've rephrased it as, what is the earning potential? And we can go through this. In a one van business, which every single Countrywide Signs territory offers at an absolute minimum, and in fact, in 90% of cases, the territories on offer are a minimum 3 van business. So there's a lot of growth potential in these areas. But once you've built up a one van business, then you should be earning between 35 to 40,000 pounds. And these figures that I'm going to go through are not based on forecasts or assumptions. They're actually very, very accurate, because the systems that Countrywide Signs run means that they are able to track every single job that is done by every single franchise owner throughout the country on any given day and every single day. So every single month, they're looking at the key point indicators. They're looking at what franchisees are doing, and at the end of the year, they're able to come up with these extremely accurate figures, and that is a very accurate figure. So it's a very realistic earning potential for a one-van business. And to build a one-van business to capacity, to be able to earning this, it would normally take between 15 to 18 months. That is typical. That's average. It's been done in less than 12 months, but that's very exceptional. But 15 to 18 months is normal. Once you've established a one-van business and you're running that, and it's taking you 40 hours a week, then obviously the territory is there to, in most cases, to develop it further. And at that stage, you'd be needing to make a business decision whether you want to increase the business to 2 vans. Obviously, the earning potential goes up with the 2-van business, as you can see there. And the reason it doesn't go up, or the reason it doesn't double, is because, of course, you're paying someone now a wage. You're paying a driver a salary. And typically, that salary, is going to vary, but it's going to be typically between 13 and maybe 16,000 pound a year. And they'll be doing they'll be running the business out of that second van. And again, following the same model, when you're up to a 3-van business, then you can be earning between 80,000 and 100,000 pounds in a 3-van business. That's employing two drivers. And this earning potential, just absolutely clarify it, what I mean by earning potential. This is, if you imagine you're in a job and you're being paid a salary of £35,000 a year gross, then that's what I mean. So where I'm talking about earn between 35 and 40,000 pound per year in a one-van business, it's the equivalent of what you would be earning, as a gross salary, along with the benefits of owning your own business, and along with the certain tax benefits, of course, which means that you won't be taxed as much earning this much in your own business rather than being employed. So, there's a lot that we can go into on the earning potential and on the figures, and there's a huge amount of financial information you get as you go through the process, and certainly when you meet with Countrywide Signs. I can't go much further. There's certain confidentiality aspects which I can't go into, and I wouldn't want to go into, but certainly at a meeting you'll get absolutely everything you need. So I'm not trying to cut things short with that information. Territory is exclusive, and it's put together by postcode sectors, and it's worked out with a demographic company, a professional demographic company, by the number of residential properties in an area. And I'll explain a little bit more about that as we come along. But of course, the number of residential properties is directly in relation to the number of estate and letting agents. That's how estate and letting agents set up their business, is looking at the number of residential and commercial properties in an area. The reason the territory is set up as exclusive is because no one, or Countrywide Signs certainly, doesn't want any competition between franchise owners. This is a network. It is like a big family, and there's support. So the worst thing that you could do is promote competition between franchise owners, not directly. Competition, seeing who can grow their business quicker and so on in their own territory is great, but not between, not while taking other people's customers. So that doesn't happen. As I said before, the majority of the territories offer a growth potential through multi-van businesses. This is an actual territory map for Countrywide Signs. I'm just going to show you in a minute. It's the Oxford territory map, so let's just bring that in. So there's a kind of a zoomed out view of it, so you can see exactly where it covers on a map. And if you look at the figures above it, you can see that in that area there's 278,284 residential properties. This is an extremely accurate figure. It's kept updated by the Royal Mail postcode database, which is the most accurate in the UK. And also in that area is 15,894 commercial properties. So that's the extent of the area. We can also view the map broken down by postcode, and we can zoom in on that. But I just wanted to give you an idea of how territory maps are shown and depicted and how accurate they are. And if you're wanting to know what territory is available in your area, then please just send me an email with your postcode, just so I know I've got the right postcode for you. People do move, so often I have details of people and they haven't updated their postcode. But if you send an email to me after this presentation or tomorrow or whenever, and I'll certainly come back to you and send you a link to the territories that are closest to you, and we can take it from there. Just to expand on this territory side of things, a franchise owner that owns this territory will basically, their customer base will be estate and letting agents whose business address falls within the postcodes in this area, if that makes sense. So there may be a case that an estate agent is based on the kind of the edge of this territory, and the work that they get the Countrywide Signs owner to do is outside of this area. That's irrelevant. That doesn't matter, because the estate agent is based in this area. Any work, whether it's outside or inside, is given to the franchise owner for this area, and this is why there's no competition. So although Countrywide Signs vans may cross into each other's area, they're not competing. They're dealing with the estate agents only in their area, or estate letting agents in their area. Sorry. So it's very, very important to understand that. Right. The next thing we're going to look at is whether you may suit this franchise opportunity. It's a very important part of this is understanding what Countrywide Signs is all about, and from my point of view, it's actually understanding ultimately what you're looking for. That's probably more important. I mean, I know what Countrywide Signs offer. I know what they're about. I've dealt with them for a long time now, but it's more understanding what you want, and then it's very simple for me to start to match what you're looking for with what they offer, and be able to give you an honest opinion of whether it potentially could be right or not. So just running through some key things. Countrywide Signs is a home-based business. Whether it's a 1-van or a 5-van business, it is home-based. You don't need premises ever. I mean, you can get them, and some people rent them. It's totally your choice. You don't need to. The van is based at your home. If it's a multi-van business, of course, the drivers will keep the van. The drivers you employ will keep the van at their home. It's a van-based business, so you're obviously driving around the residential areas. There's very low overheads in this business. The biggest overhead really is your fuel. So it becomes it's a very simple business to manage in terms of costs, because there are very few, and fuel is the biggest one. And the way to cut down on your fuel cost is using the Countrywide Signs system and planning your routes. And again, they bring in GPS tracking software and systems as well to help you get around your area in the most efficient way if you don't know your area so well. It's daylight working hours, so that's great and ideal. It's what a lot of people are looking for. 9 to 5, maybe not. It can be. It's really flexible. So if you wanted to get up in the summer at 6 in the morning and go and put up some signs, you could absolutely do that. And and finish at 2 in the afternoon. If you wanted to miss rush hour in an area and leave home at 10:30, haven't had a lion, no problem. Finish at 6, get the job done. Very, very flexible. If you've got a kid at school and there's a sports day, or they're in a play in the afternoon, you can totally make your day fit around that. Start a bit earlier, take a couple hours out to go and do that and see your kid, and then go back and finish off or finish early. So the work-life balance flexibility is great in this business. So again, it all depends what you're looking for. I think most people would aspire to that. So I think that's a great positive. And again, I go back to this potential to grow beyond a 1-van business. Ideally, Countrywide Signs are looking for people that are going to take on these areas and grow them beyond a 1-van business, ideally. So we're not ruling out people that know right now that they just want a 1-van business, but ideally we're looking for people that want to step it up and will want to do more than that. And just going on, I mean, there's 57 trading franchisees. I mean, they've been going, some of them now, for 10 years. So this business absolutely does work. It's just whether it's right for you, and that's really what we got to establish as we go through all of this. Of about the 57 franchise owners that Countrywide Signs have, about 2/3 of them have gone and got financial assistance. And this is a very important stage and a very important step to consider, whether you've got the money or not. I mean, you may have £30,000 sat in the bank ready to go. Great, but I would still say consider going down the route of a business loan or a personal loan, and because you're just putting less of your own personal money in, and therefore the risk is lessened. So let me just run through how Countrywide Signs are with all this. Countrywide Signs are pre-approved basically with all the major banks. So HSBC, NatWest, Lloyds, TSB, Barclays. They all understand who Countrywide Signs are. They all know who they are. Countrywide Signs are full British Franchise Association members. They've got 57 franchise owners. They have an extremely low failure rate over the last 10, 11 years. And therefore, banks basically recognize them as a very good opportunity and a very safe bet for them to lend to a franchise owner who's going to be taken on a Countrywide Signs. So what this means, bottom line, is that funding can be obtained typically for up to 70% of the total investment. In this case, total investment just under £27,000. Need to put a bit more on that just to keep you going in the first 3 months before you start taking an income from the business. But call it 30,000. 70% of that can be funded by the banks. A lot will depend on your own individual circumstances. Do you own a house? What assets do you have? What's the mortgage on that house? How much money can you put in yourself? This is going to decide whether the banks will lend 50%, 60%, or 70%. But realistically, and in reality, you will need to invest at least £8,000 of your own money. You'll need to find £8,000 of your own money in order to be able to go down any kind of financial route. So that's probably the key figure to keep in your mind. If you can't raise £8,000 through whatever means that is, selling a car or borrowing it from friends, relatives, then probably Countrywide Signs is going to be outside of your range, and you need to look at franchise opportunities that are coming in at a slightly lower total cost, of which there's a lot. So it's not all ended, but certainly ask the question. So if you want to delve into that a little bit more, I'll be happy to talk to you, and we can go over that. Also, Countrywide Signs offer a lot of financial assistance to people looking at and considering Countrywide Signs, and they've allied themselves with a company called Franchise Finance, and the guy that heads that up is a guy called Chris Roberts. He's an ex-NatWest banker who wasn't your typical banker. He was a bit more dynamic than that, and he ended up resigning and setting up his own this franchise finance business. And what he does is he works with brands that he approves effectively, and that the banks approve, and he works very closely with them to help anyone that's looking at becoming a potential franchise owner, and he talks to those people on Countrywide Signs' behalf, and he'll obviously ask them questions about about how much kind of financial backing you have and assets and so on, and he'll be able to come up with probably about a 95% certainty of what he believes he'll be able to get you in terms of funding through the bank. And further down the line, you'll get to work with Chris, and he'll actually put together your entire business plan template, which is then taken to the banks. He is there to present to the banks on your behalf. These are quite daunting for a lot of people, quite daunting aspects of of seeking a business loan. So he does all this. He's been there. He's done that when he was at NatWest. He's very involved in franchising. He's very involved in loans to small businesses. So he understands all of these areas, and there's some tricky areas involved. So you have to get it right. So absolutely, once you've had a meeting with Countrywide Signs, Chris is someone who will happily give you a call for free, and have a chat. And really, we're getting to to the end. I mean, I've got a few questions I'm just going to go over that I haven't covered in this, but just wanted to go through really what the next steps are from here, or from wherever you got up to. There might be some people on this webinar who have already had a meeting with Countrywide Signs. Well, that's great. You know, a lot of this will be irrelevant to you, but for those that have just started looking or haven't taken the next step, these are there. Firstly, obviously, you got to find out if there's a territory available. So send me an email with your postcode and your full postcode. I stress, not just the beginning bit. I need a full postcode so I can map it onto the map and send you the details. And I'll send you a map in the way that I showed you earlier. Once we know there's a territory available, then that's great. Either we can have a chat, me and you personally, and you can contact me, or you can book a meeting with Countrywide Signs, which would really be the best thing to do, because I've really covered over most of the things I'd talk to you on the phone about anyway, and any kind of more detail would need to be got at a meeting. So the best thing would be to attend a comprehensive meeting. I'm going to be sending tomorrow an email with all the available meeting dates up to the end of March. So if you want to book a meeting, they're one-to-one. They last about 3.5 to 4 hours. They're extremely comprehensive. They're really designed to give you everything that you need and take away. No first, second, third meetings coming back, and it's just, it gets all given to you, all questions answered. Following the meeting, you will obtain confidential documents and financials about the business. You will also get a list of current franchise owners, so you can contact them and talk to them and understand how they're doing and how their businesses are going. You get this free financial assistance and planning advice through Chris Roberts and Franchise Finance. No costs, absolutely not. He'll definitely give you time on the phone and give you a really good idea. He'll give you an idea on a personal level. So it's, even if you don't go ahead with Countrywide Signs, it's worth talking to him. You can obviously get any further questions answered before making a decision. This is part of my role, really, is to make sure that any questions, issues you have, anything you're waiting for is chased up, answered, issues resolved if they can be, and that you get as close to being able to make a confident decision as you can. And no one ever gets to 100% certainty on a decision, but it's getting you as close as you can be to then take that hopefully small leap of faith. Once you've done that and made a decision that you would like to go ahead, then it's simply a matter of paying a deposit that secures your territory and allows Countrywide Signs really to set the next stage in motion. The deposit is £1,750, just so everyone's clear on that. And as soon as you pay that deposit, Countrywide Signs will draw up the franchise agreement through the solicitors. There's obviously a cost to that, so that will come off your deposit if you back out. You will get to talk to Chris Roberts in much more detail, not just that 10-minute call you had for free, but he'll start actually putting together a business plan based on your territory, your ambitions, your financial situation, and that business plan will it'll do two things. One, it'll help you realize how much funding you're able to get through the banks. And Chris will have a very good idea before he does this anyway, so you'll get that beforehand. But this is really going to clarify it all. And secondly, you need a business plan. Everyone needs a business plan for any business, and to have one set out over 1, 2, 3 years is really important. It just allows you to monitor how things are going and whether you're hitting targets on a monthly and annual basis. So that is all done. So there you go. I've already talked about that. Bespoke business plan put together. Training dates are obviously agreed based upon what you can do. So if you need to give notice in a job, that's absolutely fine. A month, 2 months, whatever it takes. If you've got a honeymoon or a holiday, it's happened before. People have had them booked. Get that out the way. Go and enjoy that, knowing you've made a decision, and then come back fresh and ready to start a new business. So that's fine. And then before the training, the week before normally, the franchise fee is paid in full, whether that's with your own money or whether that's part financed through the banks. All of that will have been happening during this process. And then training starts, and it's going to be a week in Newmarket, and that is then followed by some training in your area with Simon Smith, who, as I said, is the national sales manager. So that's extremely useful, and then there's obviously ongoing support, as I've said, and ongoing training if required. Countrywide Signs are here to make sure that everyone succeeds. They don't leave anyone out there. They they're always monitoring how their friends, someone might need a bit of help, and they can go in there and offer it. So they're always on the ball when it comes to that, and I think that's great to have that feeling of support. You don't always get that with franchises. Um, and then once your training is finished, obviously the business launches with this full marketing and sales support, as I spoke about.